Hello, everyone. We will start the presentation at exactly 5 p.m. So we will just wait for 2 minutes and we will start. Thank you. We have 36 attendees, Doctor.
All
Still
right.
counting.
Thank you.
Hello, Doctor.
Yes, can I start
Uh,
now?
yes, Doctor. You can start your presentation now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening. Welcome to the webinar Career Adaptability Bridging the Fast Widening Future Proofing Workforce. Technology is driving change across all areas of society. Not only we increasing use it and rely on it in personal life, but we also find workplace is digitally evolving with more and more processes is now being undertaken using technology. With collections of analysis with real-time data, artificial intelligence, and ability for all components of production line to talk to each other, production can be really efficient and personalized according to customer needs. If you have questions, please keep it until the end so that we can have a fruitful questions, inshallah. What fourth industrial revolution means for us. With increased automation, our time will be freedom for concentrating to more complex tasks. We will need a workforce of capable of building, programming, and developing these technologies and also making sure they applying them to our lives in an ethical way. This change is known as the fourth industrial revolutions or IR 4.0. The world of work will be radically different in the future, from hyper surveillance of staff to digital nomadism to robots taking jobs. How, where, and why we work is changing beyond all recognition. The big question is our job safe? Before we move further, please grab your mobile phone and please scan the QR code as displayed. Or you can go to www.manti.com. Once you are in, enter code 5806777. So let's answer this question. What is IR 4.0 means to you, to the workplace, to our work? Let me know your thoughts. All right, automation.
Everyone, I have posted the minted.com, the link and the code and the chat. Please check and click the link. Thank you.
Okay, disruption, advancement. Okay, Very good. Basically, these are the topics, the matters that we are going to discuss throughout this webinar. Thank you very much. With AI and automation, jobs are restarting at an accelerated pace and people are having to catch up. IR 4.0 has accelerated the automations of many tasks, leading some to fear artificial intelligence will take their jobs. To embrace this change, companies must focus on upskilling and reskilling. By HR 4.0, a new approach to recruiting, training, and motivating talent, companies can leverage their human capital skills to address crises in an emerging workforce. I am Halizani Khalid, Assistant Professor of Management at College of Business, Abu Dhabi University. Now, let's get started. Imagine you need to work with humanoid robots, seemingly capable of complex thoughts and social skills at your workplace. A team of humanoid robots of engineers, operation executives, and customer services executives are coming together, meeting each other to coordinate their actions and expertise to produce an innovative work process. Your work outcome is entirely dependent on their adaptability and work well to them to ensure that you can adapt and work well because they are extremely proficient. You start to think about the fact that they are only robots and you wonder when you will be losing your job to humanoids. In this course, I will explain on how we can push reset button of jobs, what it means to you and the workplace. I will explain the challenges of current jobs to sustain in IR 4.0, no doubt radically change our skill set and capabilities. Along the way, I will suggest action steps that we and our organizations can take to ensure that the impact of IR 4.0 is complementing and augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them. And just before the conclusion, I will share the interesting facts about the UAE in relation to our topic, future-proofing workforce. IR 4.0 made current framework for valuing human capital outdated and insufficient. Future-proofing workforce within companies is now fast widening due to labor shortage plus a skills mismatch. According to Future Jobs Report 2020, adopting cloud computing, big data, and e-commerce remain high priorities among companies. However, there has also been a significant rise in interest in encryption, reflecting the new vulnerabilities of IR 4.0. A significant increase in number of companies expecting to adopt non-humanoid robots and artificial intelligence, with both technologies slowly becoming a backbone of work across industries. These new technologies are set to drive future growth across industries. It is also expected to increase the demand for new job roles and skill sets. Such positive effects may be counterbalanced by workforce disruptions due to transferring some tasks performed by humans into the jurisdiction of work performed by machines. Companies also are expected to restructure their workforce in response to new technologies. 55% of companies indicate that they are also looking to transform the composition of their value chain. 43% of companies will introduce further automation, reduce the current workforce. 34% of companies will invest to expand their workforce as a result of deeper technological integration, and 41% expands their use of contract for less specialized work. The reallocation of current tasks between human and machine is already in motion. The average estimated time spent by humans and machines at work will be at a parity based on today's tasks. Algorithm and machine will be primarily focused on the tasks of information and data processing and retrieval, administrative tasks, and some aspect of traditional manual labor. The tasks where humans are expecting to retain their comparative advantage include managing, advising, decision making, reasoning, communicating, and interacting. By 2025, companies is expecting a decline in redundant roles of the workforce to 9%, while emerging professions will grow to 14%. It was estimated that 85 million jobs may be displaced by a shift in division of labor between humans and machines. Future of Jobs Survey 2020 reveals similarity across industries when looking at increasing strategic and increasing redundant job roles. The leading positions in growing demand are roles such as data analysts and scientists benefited from remote working. However, job roles such as process automation specialists are newly emerging among cohort of roles which are seeing growing demand from employers due to digitalization. The emergence of these roles reflects the accelerations of automation as well as the resurgence of cybersecurity risk. Automation transforming businesses and will contribute to economic growth through contributions to productivity. At the same time, these technologies will transform the nature of work and the workplace itself. Machines will be able to carry out more of the tasks done by humans, complement the work that humans do, and even perform some tasks that go beyond what humans can do. As a result, some occupation will decline, others will grow, and many more will change. Automation will affect 67% of human work in 2020 and declined to 53% in 2025. So, how automation and AI affect us? We, as workers, will need to acquire new skills and adapt to the increasingly capable machines alongside us in the workplace. We may have to move from declining occupations to growing and, in some cases, new occupations. Even AI and automation bring benefits to business and society. We need to prepare for major disruptions to work. Automation will affect more than 2,000 work activities across more than 800 occupations. These categories of activities are more easily automatable than others. They include physical activities in highly predictable and structured environments, as well as data collection and data processing. The bottom line, nearly all occupations will be affected by automation, but only about 5% of occupations could be fully automated. Many more occupations have portions of their components activities that are automatable. This means that most workers, from welders to mortgages brokers to CEOs, will work alongside rapidly evolving machines. The nature of these occupations will likely change as a result. Such job disruptions is counterbalanced by job creation in new fields, in which the jobs of tomorrow. Over the coming decade, an inevitable share of newly created jobs will be in wholly new occupations or existing occupations undergoing significant transformation in terms of their content and skill requirements. Data derived from 20 economists, including the UAE, identified that 99 jobs that are consistently growing in demand. Hence, appropriate reskilling and upskilling to address overall labor shortage due to skills mismatch. By 2025, 97 million new roles may emerge that are more adapted to a new division of labor between humans, machines, algorithm across 15 industries and 26 economies. 47% of the current jobs will be automated. Robots will replace 30% of public sector jobs around the world. 50% of jobs will be replaced by AI in the UAE by 2025. The ability of global companies to harness the growth potential of new technological adoptions is hindered by skills shortages, skill gaps in the local labor market, and the inability to attract the right talent remain among the leading barrier to the adoptions of new technologies. According to Future of Jobs 2020, these findings is consistent across the companies surveyed countries including the UAE. In the absence of ready talent, employers is providing access to reskilling and upskilling to 62% of their workforce. Employers are willing to expand that provision to a further 11% of their workforce by 2025. However, employees' engagement into those courses is lagging, with only 42% of employees taking up employer supported reskilling and upskilling opportunities. Greater adoptions of technology will mean in demand skills across jobs change over the next 5 years, and skill gaps will continue to be high. Critical thinking, problem solving top the list of skills employees believe will grow in prominence in the next 5 years. But newly emerging this year are skills in self management such as active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. Skill shortages are more critical in emerging professions, while an exact skill match is not a prerequisite to making a job transition. The long term productivity of employees is determined by their mastery of key competencies. Thus, employers must strategize the effort to fill the demand of cross functional skills through appropriate reskilling and upskilling. Cross-functional skills are those skills that are applicable and easily transferable across many occupations and roles. These include groups such as critical thinking and analysis, as well as problem solving, which have stayed at the top of agenda with year-on-year consistency according to the Future of Jobs survey. Technological changes are profoundly transforming the occupations and the required skills of labor market around the world. The evolutions of the labor market across the globe due to accelerated technological changes and rapid population aging requires adaptation of knowledge, skills and abilities of work. Nowadays, deciding what to study is even more difficult than in the past. 50% of all employees will need reskilling by 2025 as adoption of technology increases, according to World Economic Forum. Half of us will need to reskill in the next 5 years as the double disruptions of economic impacts of the pandemic and increasing automation transforming jobs takes hold. But the very technological disruption that is transforming jobs that can also provide the key to creating them and help us learn new skills.
Doctor, excuse me.
Yes,
Sorry to interrupt. Doctor, can you try to mute yourself and unmute yourself again? We hear some ticking sound on the background.
I need to mute and unmute
Yes,
again.
yes, doctor. Okay, is
Is the
there
sound
any?
still there?
The sound is still there. I think. Do you have? Can you try to speak, doctor?
Oh, okay,
It's not saying. Okay, doctor, you can continue now the
all
presentation.
right,
While I will try to check where it's coming from. Okay, doctor, you can start now.
thank you.
Thanks.
Many young people and workers wonder if the occupations they choose will still exist or if they will become obsolete, replaced by robots or automation. For those already in the labor market, these changes represent a threat of job loss, either as a result of automations or because they lack skills that will be required in the new occupations. For those workers who stayed in the roles, the share of core skill that will change by 2025 is 40%. As the future of jobs is not singular, disparate impacts will be felt across industries. However, this condition is depending on initial starting conditions, skills, availability, technological adoptions, and adaptability of the workforce. According to Boston Consulting Group, 67% of respondents are willing to retrain in any situation. 29% would do so if they hit serious roadblocks in a job search. These figures shows that demand for digital jobs are hot and workers want to keep learning more. Online job postings are exploding with demand for skills in area of AI, robotics and automation is exploding and growing more than 40% a year. This led to why learning and training rank second in importance among dozens of job factors. 94% of business leaders now expect employees to pick up new skills on the job. Around 40% of workers will require reskilling of 6 months or less, but the number is high for those in the consumer industries as and in the healthcare industry. Based on 2020 survey conducted by Boston Consultant Group, majorities at all education levels are willing to retrain, but the percentage falls off at the highest level of education. 39% of employers will provide training internally utilizing online learning opportunities for their workers. However, although learning a new skill set is increasingly accessible through digital technologies, individuals will also need the time and funding to be able to pursue new opportunities. The World Economic Forum estimates that in 5 years from now, machine will be doing all much work as human. That means millions of jobs will be displaced. According to PwC reports, 50% of employees agrees on the importance of providing tools and opportunities for employees to apply new acquired AI skills to their day-to-day work. So millions of workers will have to change what they do for a living, and even those that don't are likely to have to adopt new skills. Now, what is a massive number for most of us to absorb? It basically means that 5 years from now, roughly half of what we are doing is going to look different in terms of the task what we do. Majorities of all education levels are willing to retrain, but the percentage falls off at the highest level of education. In the next few years, 3% of jobs will be potentially automated by AI, according to PwC's report. By mid 2030s, as AI advances and becoming more autonomous, 30% of jobs and 44% of workers will with low levels of education will be at risk of automation. In the next 5 years, half of all workers will require some upskilling or reskilling to prepare for changing and new jobs. The rapid pace of technological change requires new models for training that prepare employees for an AI based future. True upskilling requires a citizen led approach focused on applying new knowledge to develop an AI ready mindset. The employers should view upskilling and reskilling as an investment in the future of their organization, not an expense. The appetite for retraining is highest among people in sales, administrative, and services jobs. This is because these roles to be increasingly redundant by 2035 due to automation and AI. This resulting set of emerging professions reflects the adoption of new technologies and increasing demand for new products and services, which are driving greater demand for green economy jobs roles at the forefront of the data and AI economy. In addition, the emerging professions showcase the continuing importance of human interaction in a new economy through roles in the care economy, in marketing, sales, and content productions, as well as roles where a facility or aptitude to undertake and being comfortable working with different types of people from different backgrounds is critical. Based on 2020 survey conducted by Boston Consulting Group, young people want retraining the most, but strong majority of the elderly also want to improve their skills. The report suggests that current education system and training models cannot provide employees with reliable, lasting skills. By the time students graduate from university and join the workforce, many of the skills they have learned are already out of date given the intense pace of change. This means that learning can go no longer happen in the first decades of life in preparation for the rest of life. Rather, the best employees will be learning throughout their lives, and this learning will take place at work. The fact that ways of working are changing provides a prime opening to introduce innovative ways of learning as well. Employees are becoming accustomed to change, to self direction, and to different relationship with employers and managers. It's now more possible than ever to create learning on the job paradigm that match education and employment and emphasize lifelong learning, preparing workers for the ongoing changes that requires for reskilling and upskilling. As changes to work accelerated, employees are bearing witness to a fundamental shift away from the linear transition made by workers in previous points of history from school into specialized training, into work, then along a progressive career ladder defined by increasing responsibility within an established occupation structure. In today's labor market, workers Workers pivot between professions with significantly different skill set and navigate mid-career job transition accompanied by substantial reskilling and upskilling. Those pivots are as important to the success of firms as they are to the prosperity of workers. Without such pivot, skill shortages will remain endemic, and scarcity of adequately skilled individuals to fill the jobs of tomorrow will lead to a persistent productivity lack. According to Future of Jobs Report 2020, 2 out of 3 employers expect a return on investment from reskilling within a year. The route to unlocking the value of our human potential in tandem with profitability is to employ a good job strategy, halting the erosion of wages, making work meaningful and purposeful, expanding employees' sense of growth and achievement, promoting and developing talent on the basis of merit, and proactively designing against biases. Building the required skills is a critical component of a company strategy that is will deliver the biggest payoff. It lets an organization improve precisely the skills it needs in ways that will work effectively for its organization without the growing pains of in- integrating new employees, and it sets the stage for the extension of those skills. Building the skills in house also sidestep the cost of simply hiring new people for new roles. As marketplace continue to evolve and call for up-to-date skills, employees need to find a place to acquire the necessary learning opportunities. Companies that address this need can make a learning ecosystem part of their value proposition to attract and retain employees. And when an employee demonstrates dedication to its workforce, by investing in education and development, it gains some measure to employee loyalty.
Hi, doctor. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt again. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you try to mute and unmute the yourself again?
Okay,
The sound
sure.
is coming again. Yep. Okay, the sound is gone. Uh, okay,
Is the
doctor.
sounds
The sound's
persist?
still there. Yep. Just give me
Okay.
a minute. Okay, doctor. Can you mute yourself again? Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Now it's unmute.
Okay, doctor. You can continue with the presentation now.
All right. Thank you. Once a company's leadership team decide to build a learning ecosystem, the effort must be comprehensive and deliberate. It must address learning for all employees, be planned in a way that integrates corporate strategy, and have clear metrics as well as rewards for both the enterprise and the employees. It must be adaptable to scenarios where humans work with robots side by side or in some kind of hierarchical relationship, and it must be designed for inevitable change. An adaptable and flexible learning ecosystem will allow for perpetual learning as it too learns and adapts. Fundamental to this strategy are two: interconnected, ambitious priorities which, between them, have the power to wave the way to a better, more productive, and more rewarding future of work. No one can offer a one size fits all solution for companies that need to build a learning ecosystem. Certainly, as customization will be needed at all level, at every level. In fact, we don't believe that one size fits all solution exists. Given the ongoing rapid change, such a solution might always be a moving target, and appropriately so. With that in mind, one principle of any company's approach to learn must be an emphasis on the know how rather than the simplistic know what. This requires a solid base of interdisciplinary knowledge for various occupations, such as critical thinking, problem solving, and working with others. These skills are also known as 21st century skills or transferable skills. The learning ecosystem must maintain a focus on this overarching goal. Learner, employees need to learn not only specific skills but also the ability to think critically on how to adapt and extrapolate those skills. Learning is a CEO issue. A large-scale, digitally oriented reskilling initiative is a core aspect of continual transformation and requires the CEO attention. That, that attention doesn't stop once high-level strategy has been established. The CEO must be involved throughout. First step is to create a strategic workforce plan. Strategic workforce plan must quantify mid and long-term talent gaps by mapping employee skills against current and future needs. Learning must become part of daily rhythm and routines. Employees designing learning ecosystems should resist the temptation to rely too heavily on traditional learning models like online courses, and instead developing experiential programs that encourage learners to get used to learning while on the job. Secondly, Launch targeted upskilling programs. The targeted upskilling programs must be defined in a broad portfolio of learning intervention, involves existing employees, recruiting new employees, and acquiring companies with desired capabilities and skills to fill the gaps. Learning has to be embedded in the workflow. Third step is embracing learning contract. Employers and employees should enter into a 21st century learning contract. An agreement, a new kind of social contract for learning, must be in place to outline the way in which employees and the organization will share accountability for learning and aligning on the pathways skill in the learning. This is where the commitment is formalized between the company and the employees to reskilling and upskilling. The learning contract gives employees clarity into the company's goal and empowers them to take ownership and be accountable for their learning and growth by continuously anticipate change and develop new skills accordingly. Fourthly, adopting latest learning technologies. Learning technologies must leverage insights from the cognitive and behavioral sciences. Cutting edge technologies such as mobile apps, augmented reality, and gamifications are powerful tools for real time on site learning, revealing insights about the way people learn, leading to new techniques and technologies that are designed to build on human motivations and learning processes. This is an active space. Education companies are using technologies such as the space effect, retrieval practice, and confidence based learning to improve outcomes. Fifthly, building continuous learning culture in company. Organizations must offer recognitions to learner employees. This principle applies throughout the ecosystem because it encompasses so much. Recognizing, respecting the needs and inputs of each employees, providing incentives for learning, and positioning the employer as the issuer of credentials, providing certifications that signals employees valuable accomplishments and prowess to those inside and outside the organization. Companies must incorporate incentives to encourage and motivate employees to learn new skills as part of talent management and performance assessment policy and procedures. This approach will encourage employees to adopt a continuous growth mindset. Finally, extending upskilling to the wider society is both possible and imperative to create a successful learning ecosystem. Of course, no workplace learning program can or should be an entirely altruistic offering designed simply to ensuring that employees have the up-to-date skills that keep them marketable. It is also true, though, that leaders have an obligation to leave their company stronger and more capable than they were when they inherited them. This mandate includes a responsibility to employees and a broader societal obligation to advance development and well being. Thus, though building a comprehensive digital age learning ecosystem is an overwhelming task, doing so is essential for reasons both mission critical and altruistic. Now, remember that digital is an indispensable aid to the development or our perpetual learning system. The ecosystem we create will incorporate learning about digital and about working alongside digital machines, intelligent machines, and will use digital learning approaches. When it comes to leading and learning in the digital age, a savvy CEO can and should make an humanoid an ally by harnessing its power to improve learning and prepare for change. Here are the key findings from Future of Jobs report based on the UAE profiles. Before we move on to the interesting facts about the UAE related to our topic, let's get your perspective on the following questions. Please grab again your mobile phone and provide your perception based on these questions. First question. In your organization, to what extent do the active employees possess sufficient digital skill? What do you think? Does your employee have the digital skill required for the 21st century? Okay, to some extent.
Hi, Doctor. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt again. Doctor, can you unmute yourself again and then after a minute, unmute yourself? There's a ticking sound coming from the background. We are not sure where it's coming from, so it's there
Is now
again.
okay?
Uh, uh, I think it's I can hear. I can hear. Oh yeah, it's now it's gone. Oh, it's there again.
So, in general, your employees have some extent of digital skills. Okay, that's interesting though. Okay, let's move on to the second question. In your organization, to what extent do recent tertiary education graduates possess the skills needed by businesses? What do you think? Do they have the skills required by the business? All right. Okay. So they do have skills needed by business. It's good to know as an academician. Okay. Let's move on to the third question. Third question is, to what extent your organization can find people with the skills required to fill your vacancies? So it shows that the labor market in the UAE still have the skill required to be filled in, especially related to the businesses. Very good then. This is very interesting facts. Okay, let's move on to the fourth questions. In your organization, what is the impact of the online gig economy on working conditions such as working time, remuneration, and stability? Gig economy means a labor market categorized by the prevalence of short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to permanent jobs. Right? Since there is greater impact on online gig economy, so it means that the job structure, the job specifications, the job requirements need to be changed as well in the organization. Interesting. Okay, let's move on. Okay, these are the working age population in the UAE, in which 88.1 million with age 25 and over. This is the where the biggest workforce is. The progress score for education, skills, jobs, and work indicator is more than 50%. So that is where the digital skill among active population, in which is aligned with your answers just now, in which 72%. The business relevance to education is 65%, in which is totally aligned to your answer, to your perspective in your organization. Okay, let's move on to these questions. This question is related to COVID-19 and the impact on business as usual. The question is, in response to the current outbreak, which of the following measures has your company implemented or in planning to implement across the organization? Which are the following measures that your company has implemented or planning to implement to respond to the outbreak? Okay, all right. Remote work remotely, rank first. It stays there, but the list is upskilling and reskilling programs. Okay, all right then. Okay, let's match this feedback to the company's response based on the survey in the UAE. Okay. Due to COVID-19, 90% of companies provide more opportunities to work remotely, in which is aligned to your perspective just now with the feedback. Only 48% of employers accelerate automation of tasks. Okay. If you look into the ranking here, basically the same perception that you provided, in which the majority believe that having a opportunity to work remotely have much impact compared to the upskilling and reskilling programs when it comes to the implementations or planning in the organization due to the outbreak. Analytical thinking and innovation, complex problem solving, critical thinking skills identify as being a high demand within the surveyed companies in the UAE. The result is consistent to findings of my research. This is the research finding. Okay, my research finding. The result is consistent to findings of my research to benchmark the emerging skills perceived by business, engineering, and postgraduate students as well faculty of Abu Dhabi University against UAE business leaders. The sample consists of 16 business students, 12 engineering students, 33 postgraduate students, 19 faculty, and 25 UAE private sector leaders. As you can see, that is a variance of the perceptions when it comes to the important skills, okay, between the students, the faculties, and the UAE private sector. If, as you can see, the perception among between faculties and the students are almost the same. However, it is the perceptions of the UAE private sector is totally different. This is a benchmarking, okay, where benchmarking found gaps between emerging skill required by business leaders and emerging skills level by business, engineering, and postgraduate, as well as the faculty. My latest study, published in Emerald, found that early career employees in Abu Dhabi agreed that career skills help them to more adaptable to their career. This is based on samples of 400 having then less 5 years of working experience after graduating from high school or college. However, early career employees with low productive personality is much benefit from higher career skills in adaptability to career. This result also consistent with my other recent research, okay, that found final year full-time working and part-time students in the UAE, in which the sample is 420, believe that 21st century transferable skill of complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, and coordinating with others are essential for their career adaptability in the workplace. So those basically are aligned with the earlier and the perceptions of the business leaders. Okay, then these are the three questions that related to reskilling and upskilling effort in your organization. The first question, rank top 5 skill cluster in your organization that is currently focusing on in employees reskilling and upskilling effort. What is the 5 skill cluster that you have been focusing for reskilling and upskilling in your organization? Quality control, safety awareness. Okay, safety is the in topic now. Active learning, okay, is now ranked first. The ranking keep changing. This is interesting. So now active learning and after learning and learning strategies is the first. Oh, it's a tie between active learning and learning strategies and quality control and safety awareness, followed by complex problem solving, analytical thinking, and leadership and social influences. All right. Okay, let's move on to the second question. Oh, it's changing again. But active learning stays the first rank, followed by quality control, followed by analytical thinking. Thank you very much for your thoughts. This is very interesting. Okay, let's move on to the second question. Oh, it keep changing again. Okay. Now, complex problem solving in the third. right? Okay, let's move on. Okay, the second question. How likely is your organization to undertake the following strategies to address the shifting skills demand? Just now you were saying that active learning followed by the safety and the complex problem solving. Now, how do you use the strategy to address the shifting skills demand? Retrain existing employees, okay? Okay. First and the second, more towards the existing employees. Okay. All right. It's all about upskilling. That is the first rank. Now, the retraining, the reskilling is rank first, followed by upskilling. Now, upskilling goes back again. So basically, here is all about the existing staff, the existing employees, in which there is very important for organizations in which this is what you, as well you mentioned here, it's very important for organizations to reskill and upskill their employees, their current employees, to ensure that they can help the organization to address the 21st century skills demand, especially in working with automations and robots. So the bottom line here, you're still thinking about your human capital. This is very good to know. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is third and final questions. Bearing in mind the growing skill demand, how long does your organization expect the reskilling or upskilling of employees to take? Okay, so how do you expect your employees to do the reskilling and upskilling? Okay, within 3 to 6 months, all right? This timing will reflect on their competencies on the job. Three to 6 months seems reasonable. Okay, now 6 to 12 months. All right. Although that we as employees believe, okay, we need more time to reskill, to upskill ourselves, okay, to help us to regain the skill demanded by 21st century. But from the organization point of view, it's all about timing. Timing equals to money. Okay, that's why if you can see, okay, let's reflect your answers to the findings. Okay, as you can see, this table provides the list of skills that are the focus of existing companies in reskilling and upskilling programs among the surveyed companies in the UAE. Active learning and learning strategies, leadership, social influence, and analytical thinking and innovations are ranked as a priority for reskilling and upskilling, where 98% of employees expect existing employees to pick up skills on the job, and 31% of employers provide less than a month for their employees to reskilling and upskilling. Why this is happening? Because time equals to money. The more time needed, more less profitability they make. So that they need to give less time for the employees to upskill and reskill so that they can more competent to adapt themselves to the career and to be adaptable to the 21st century requirements. Now, you can reimagine the future work moral and economic imperatives. The nature of work and careers is changing fast, and in the future, the right skills will be prized over academic qualification alone. For current workers set to remain in their roles in the next 5 years, they need reskilling for their core skills. Consider supporting people to find their own sense of purpose and realize their full potential to develop a purpose-led and future-proofing workforce. This is equipping people to lead the change rather than change done to them. Pioneering employment to provide flexibility with security, putting mental health and well-being at the forefront of preparing future-proofing workforce that is career adaptable with meaningful action. Employers can help employees to follow reskilling and other careers pathways by ensuring their understanding their own personal purpose, providing the support they need to feel happy and healthy, and giving them a sense of belonging. Remember, by putting employees at the heart of future of work, employees are able to thrive, adapt, and grow as they are empowered to proactively shape the future of work. With that, thanks again for taking your time to attend this course. Thank you very much. So now I open for question and answer.
Everyone, you can, yeah. I see Abdul Rahman raise his hand. You can unmute your mic and you can ask a
Yes,
question.
hi.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Abdurrahman.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Can I get that certificate?
Mr. Patrick, would you
Uh,
answer that questions? Or
sure. After the session, you will get a certificate on your email. We will send it through email. Mr.
Okay,
Abdul Rahman.
thank you very much. Thank you, doctor.
Okay.
thank you very much, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Do you have any question?
Do you believe that your organization will be able to basically to be effectively adapt to 21st to automations to AI? Thank you very much, Miss Pirna. Mr. Patrick, Miss Asma is asking whether they can get this session in recorded form.
Yes, they can. I will be posting link on chat. Just a minute. Give me a minute. So basically, you can log into community.adu.ac.ae with your verified email and password, and then from there you can click the banner, and from the banner you can access all the modules there. So I think that's it.
Yes, thank you, Miss Pirna. I believe yes, COVID-19 is a facilitator, maybe the moderator or element of shock to enable us to move forward faster to adapt to AI and IR 4.0? Very good, Miss Asma. It's good to have you here. Any other question? You can put in your perspective into what we have been basically discussed just now. Can the SME adjust the skill demand as a large organization, and what could be the possible challenges to them? I believe that regardless of the basically the structure of the companies, the level of companies, based on their wealth or the level of employees, the numbers of employees, because those are where the descriptions of SMEs are. Okay, we cannot run away from adapting ourselves to 21st century, to IR 4.0. IR 4.0 totally affecting our lives. Same goes to organization, because when you enter your office, basically your office is your life within the office hours. To a certain extent, you need to adapt yourselves to the requirement of the organizations, where the requirement of organization coming from the external forces that they cannot run away from it. The biggest issue will be the time, okay, in which it's not necessarily that the big organization can easily adapt to IR 4.0 or even HR 4.0. It depending on the top management. It should be, as we discussed just now, the CEO must have the directive, because this is the CEO's issue. If the CEOs feels that this is not important, or they feels that they are still have time to maneuver things and see what is happening, what's going to happen, and they try to keep the changes lack, basically nothing can be done within the organization or even the employees. So those will be the biggest challenges in organizations, because when it comes to changes require supports. When it comes to support, it can be the organizational support, it can be the monetary supports, it can be on the emotional, physical supports. Those are coming from the CEOs top down. This is all about the CEO's perspective, the CEO's strategies. It needs need to be cascaded to the bottom line. Am I answering your your question, Mr. Suhail? And Mr. Ibrahim, thank you for attending the course as well. Yes, Mrs. Suhail, I totally agree with you. The resources matters when it comes to the money, the physicals. Those are the resources. Okay, in which these resources coming from the top and will be cascaded down. But again, the matters is when and how fast is going to be cascaded. And Ms. Nov mentioned that I'm positive about AI taking part of future business. Very good. And it will make a huge change, good change, okay, positive ones to the economy. But what will make us productive? Like, what does productivity means in the future? Okay. This is again a very good question. Why? Because when you talk about productivity can be measured in, to a certain extent, productivity can be very subjective. For example, the productivity of HR compared to the productivity of the line manager. Productivity of HR professional is a very subjective when it comes to the productivity when you want to quantify it. However, when you talk about the productivity of line manager, it's much easier to quantify because it's more involved with product. Okay, but now with the argumentations, with the AI, with humanoids, with robots, okay, it's easier for the robots to be quantified when it comes to measures their productivity. But what about us? Because we need to work hand in hand with the robots. Does it affect our productivity? Does it affect our ability? Does it affect our capability in doing works? That is another big issue that need to be considered by the HR, because nowadays the way to recruit people, the way to retrain to retrain people, to ensure that people are being productive is totally in different level. So that again, the employees should have the know-how rather than know what. Know what is obsolete. Nowadays we're talking about know-how. And Mr. Suhal mentioned that employees' resistance to change is also a serious issue. Yes, we always have the reluctance to change, and of course, challenge to the organization. Yes, the sometimes we always talk about our efficacy. Okay, although now with to do remote working to a certain extent, it affect our basically efficacy, whether we are capable to work remotely. What are the physical physical resources that can support us? What is emotional resources that can support us? Those are the factors that lead to resistance to change to us as employees, as the human, in which these are the factors for the organization to look into, okay, especially when to reduce or to cater the resistance to change. Somehow that it's not that humans or employees want to resist the technology, but it's more on how support's been given to us, to what extent the support's been given, and how long we are expected to change accordingly to meet the organizational strategy. Any other questions? This is very good discussions. Thank you very much. Let's hear more about your thoughts, maybe your experience dealing with changes, dealing with a different structure of work due to COVID-19. Does your job description change due to the shock of COVID-19 that accelerate the needs to adapt to IR 4.0?
Doctor, there's no question on the chat as well, and I'm not receiving any questions on the Q&A. So I think uh, everyone, you can raise your hand, and I can let you talk. You can ask questions.
Please voice up your views so that we can have the discussion.
Hello, Miss Hada. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Miss
think.
Huda. Yes.
Yes, hi, doctor.
Hi,
I
how are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine. How are you, doctor?
Alhamdulillah.
Fine, Alhamdulillah. Doctor, I have one question related to robots.
Yeah.
Can robot replace humans 100% in the future?
To be honest, I don't believe that robots going to replace human.
And like, what is the possibility of the percentage if I can ask that, up to how much like robots can take over humans' roles?
To be honest, I cannot give you the definite percentage. However, okay, it's still depending on the tasks, on your job descriptions, on the will of work. For example, let's say we are talking about the job that requires much creativity, much critical thinking, much complex problem solving. I don't think that is going to be replaced by robot 100% because the critical thinking of human is far beyond compared to robots. Although now they are trying to create a robot that can that can mimic humans' intelligence, but still human intelligence is the superpower. Human is far beyond.
Thank you, doctor, for your answer, and happy weekend in the advance.
Thank you very much, Miss Huda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Suda.
Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Mr. Hamid. We have the power in basically in controlling our critical thinking, in putting into thoughts when it comes to complex problem solving, in which this cannot be done by robots, cannot be done by humanoids. I believe. Have you seen the interview? The interview that involves Sophia, the humanized robots named Sophia.
Hi,
When they
doctor.
ask, yeah, I believe that when it comes to Sophia, if I can call her, because the name of Sophia, I can call this robot as her. When they ask her about what what she's going to do when somebody try to basically to attack her son or her daughter, so that she give a direct answer without any empathy, in which empathy again is the powerful nature of human that cannot be replaced by robots, because robots works in only in one way street, and the bottom line is robot made by humans. So again, human is the superpower. Yes, Miss Noof?
Yes, doctor. Actually, I was just gonna say the point that you were saying. I was gonna say that about the human intelligence. Maybe the robots will eventually outsmart us. They will be super smart because they will have the system where they will uh, develop their thoughts, improve them by themselves, because they are, at the end of the day, they are computers. But what they won't have is our emotions and empathy with the workers. But I do actually want to ask one question, doctor.
Sure.
I'm someone who's very interested in AI, which I watch lots of also like videos about it, even in movies and everything. I'm just very interested in it actually. But do you think one day, since eventually, as I said, like they will outsmart us in maybe analytical thinking. So do you think that one day, يعني, what I want to say actually, like one day we will have to deal with robots in work, right? You will have to be friends with them, right?
Yes. Yeah, you
Okay,
need
do you
to
think
work.
that one day,
Yeah, work hand in hand with robots.
yes, do you think
Robots
that one
can
day,
be will be your peers, will be your colleague.
exactly. So do you think one day, so the robots won't outsmart us? Do you think that humans will use like chips to put on their heads so they can outsmart the robots? Since we will be smarter, even they are smarter than us. But do you think like humans will use the AI in that kind of way so we can be equal to them in thinking, or it's just gonna be dealing with robots just with their heads?
To be honest, from my perspective, that robots is made by humans. Why we made robot? Because to assist us in doing work, to assist us in work processes, in which robots is more beneficial when it comes to automation, the works that can be replaced due to basically to redundancy. Okay.
Yeah.
However, let's say we talk about the role of the CEO, the role of the director, that requires more basic complex thinking, a complex problem solving. They need to think about their employees. They need to think about profitability. They need to think about everything in the organization. I don't think that robots can be that complex. If they can be that complex, their way of thinking just only one way street, because they don't have any sensibility when it comes to the matrix between, for example, innovations and empathy, critical and problem solving. Those matrix is never interwoven, or maybe not yet, uh, in the robots or the humanoids. To certain extent, they can just be, we can just direct them to do what we ask them to do.
Yes, that's true. All right, doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Miss Nov.
Good.
Yes, Dr. Huda.
Hello, Dr. Huda. You can unmute your microphone and ask questions.
Dr. Huda, please unmute your microphone so that we can hear your voice. Dr. Huda?
Hello, Dr. Huda. You can now unmute your microphone and ask the question. I think, yeah.
Hello.
Yes, now I can hear your
Yes.
voice, Dr.
Yeah,
Huda.
hi,
How are
doctor.
you?
I'm fine. How are you, doctor?
Alhamdulillah.
Actually, I don't have a question, though it's a concern about, as mentioned and declared by our leaders and the mission and the vision of UAE. They've been speaking a lot about the artificial intelligence, and this has been, almost will be implemented in all over the organization, actually. So
Yeah.
they've been speaking about the artificial intelligence. This has been embedded also in most of the organization and even in the policies and the procedure. So how do you see the future in regard to this, actually? And where is the human factor? Does it plays a role? I'm a bit concerned about, if the future will be all about robots, artificial intelligence. So where is the brain of the human will be in the future? The know-how.
Okay. Dr. Huda, when we talk about the brain, our brain is on the robots, because human is the one who developed the robots. That is one. When it comes to the future, where humans at, I believe that we cannot run away from having this future, from the industry 4.0, from having the AI, the augmented, basically, machines, the gamifications. But what we need to do is to adapt and adopt accordingly. That is what humans is best at, because we've been adapt to the environment. We've been adopting to the requirements as what we are currently facing. COVID-19, we are adapting to the technologies of having working from home, having remote working. We are adapting to the new norms where you need to wear a mask, in which, to a certain extent, our lives being restricted due to COVID-19. But to certain end, it becomes the habits, it becomes the norms, in which is not a new anymore. That is where the new normals comes in. Because when we talk about changes, nobody can run from change. But It's all about how fast can you adopt, how fast can you adapt to the changes, especially now with the pandemic, with the industry 4.0, in which these are the biggest factor that really make us to think about the future, how we can really adapt the future, and how fast can we adapt to the environment so that we can walk high in the future, because we need to live with it. Nothing much we can do just to avoid it.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Am I answering your question, Dr. Huda?
Yes. Oh, I'm a bit concerned about even, yeah, we need to cope. I know the future is coming and we need to cope and we need to even embed this in our new generation. Nevertheless, I a bit concerned about even the future research, how it will be and what we will be focusing on. This is what was a concern. Almost we are aligned a bit. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. When it comes to the research base, I think this is the in topic in the future when it comes to industry 4.0, all the factors, the challenges, the impacts to the human lives, to the employees, to the organizations. As you can see that most of the big journals, even the reports from one country to another, even in a World Economics report, the big consultants are really skewed into this topic. Thank you very much, Dr. Huda, for bringing up these questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hi, Doctor. There is a question from Mr. Omar in the Q&A tab.
Okay. What will happen to employees who will be replaced by robots? I believe they will cause economic crisis. The employment rate will increase. Yes, I believe so, Mr. Omar. That's why, to a certain extent, that the employees who are found to be redundant when it comes to their job descriptions, they need to be reskilled or upskilled. You need to be retrained by the organizations so that they can do something that cannot be done by robots, so that they can still keep their work. That's why it is suggested that employers to provide the upskilling and reskilling platform to the employees. However, based on the research, okay, although organization providing upskilling and reskilling programs to the employees, but the take up among the employees is very low. Okay, this is based on research. Yeah, they were saying that they don't really requires those upskilling and reskilling at this particular moment. Okay, although those are provided by the organization to ensure they can adapt, they can embed these skills in the future so that they can keep their job, okay, and left the routine's job to robots. However, if the employee decided not to basically to retrain themselves, definitely this going to be a big issue, because the potential for them to be retrenched, to be laid off, is very high due to the replacements by the AI augmented machines and the gamifications in the workplace. So again, there are these factors. It can be strategic, okay, issues among the organizations, among the universities, the academics. When talk about the academic, it can be from school as well towards the tertiary educations, and among the government when it comes to strategy, how they can ensure that the labor market is fully equipped but with skills required to enable them to differentiate themselves from robot. Mr. Omar, I hope I'm answering your questions. Thank you.
Hi everyone. We have still room for one more question, as we will end at exactly 6:30. So if you have any question, you can write in the question and answer tab, or you can raise your hand so I can unmute you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar.
I guess that's it, Doctor. Any closing note
Okay,
in the session? Okay.
thank you very much for all of you, and thank you very much for having these fruitful discussions, and where you put in your thoughts, your perceptions into the questions that we had just now. Those are very good insights for us to ponder in terms of how organizations is going to be, how we as employee needs to prepare, okay, to ensure that our job is secured, our knowledge, our skills, our abilities are still intact in the future. Okay, so okay, there's a last question from Mr. Suhail. How marketing is going to be affected through robotics and change? Okay, I believe that when it comes to marketing, it depending on the level of marketing. When it comes to sales is basically sales is about the same basically sentences being used over and over again in doing the sales, in doing the marketing. If you're talking about the marketing people who are doing the sales, basically they have a specific wording, specific sentences, a specific terminology that being used to capture and attract the potential buyers. Those are the things that be captured by robots, that be captured by AI, because those are basically those behaviors are the same from before until now. So, however, we're talking about the higher level of marketeer. For example, we talk about the director or talking about the marketing strategies. That is, they are in the other level of game, because robots cannot put through their mental thoughts when it comes to the strategy, when it comes to the critical thinking in terms how would you strategize, how would you put your marketing ads into thoughts, how can you attract basically potential buyers and so on. Okay, so now when talk about the robots, how robots basically impact our lives for now, or maybe from the next 10 years, more on the low level of employees where the routinist jobs are done. Mr. Sohail, am I answering your question? Okay, so with that, I believe that it's already 6:30. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your participations, for your attendance in the webinar, and thank you very much to attending these uh, fruitful discussions, and I hope you can benefit these discussions for your basically maybe to be used in your organization or maybe for yourself. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening and have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. See you in the next module. Thank you.